What is up, Chicago Bears fans? Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast with me, your host, Owen James, channel that brings you all your latest Chicago Bears news from the other side of the pond. Yes, that's right, from the UK, guys. Please obviously smash that sub, ring that notification bell, and help the channel to get going and growing, guys. It's moving in the right direction. You are being supportive, fabulously supportive. Right, look, we're going to deal with a kind of claim that's kind of come up in the last 24 hours, something that has kind of, I don't know, I read it and I've got to say it brought a bit of a smile and a chuckle to my face when I went through this, and it was a bit, out of left field, I thought, when I read it. Apparently, I mean, I don't know how true this is. This is what I read. That according to Vegas, the team that has been backed most in the last 24 hours to win the next Super Bowl, which will be at Levi Stadium, is the Chicago Bears. That's correct. Apparently, the Bears have been most backed by most punters to be the next Super Bowl champions. Now, look, I am not going to get carried away. I am not going to sound like I have been on something or I've been drinking. I don't drink, so there you go. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't think at this moment in time we would say that we are contenders. I don't think at this moment in time anyone honestly expects us to go from worst to first and win the whole shebang. I just, don't see it at this moment in time. I do see us having a better season. I do see us finishing with a winning record. I do see us making the playoffs. Bold, confident predictions. Of course I do. I have to. I'm a fan. I love the team. I want us to win. I'm going to say that. So there we go. But look, I kind of get where this newfound optimism is coming from, where this kind of misplaced loss of money, I think there's a lot of people going to lose a lot of money on this one, is coming from. You look at what work has been done so far over the off-season and over the draft, and you've got to say that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are doing an excellent job. And they are turning the Bears into a forward-thinking, young, hungry, attack-minded, positive franchise. Look, do I honestly believe for one moment that this is a team that can win the Super Bowl next year? No, not at this moment in time. In time, yes, I do. Yes, the Bears have said they're in win now mode. They're going to. That's this kind of positive, can-do attitude they want to go into the new season with. I think there's a lot been put in place over the last, few weeks, months by the organisation to kind of say that we are moving forward to this win now philosophy, to this positivity towards being successful. Obviously, a new head coach, a very offensively minded attack head coach, a new coaching staff with a much more positive outlook on things, with a much more can-do attitude. Antoine Randall, for example, very exciting. Declan Doyle, Press Taylor, Dennis Allen. There's a lot of talent there in that coaching staff to take this team forward. 100%. Much better than Coach Flus, 100%. A guy who was realistically just a defensive coordinator acting up. But, you look at the situation at this moment in time, and you look at, first of all, I think the biggest kind of grounds for optimism that a lot of people have spoken about is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the guy who is being very highly touted, very highly rated, very highly thought of within NFL circles, within Chicago Bears circles. Look, no one knows realistically how he will be as head coach. You can listen to what he says. You can listen to the type of football that he wants his team to play. But what someone says and what someone does and what actually happens are three separate things. And I don't think any of us are stupid enough to think that just because Ben Johnson talks a great game, he is going to lead us to win a Super Bowl straight away. Look, I love this guy. I think he's a great head coach. I think he will be a great head coach. Sorry, let me rephrase that. He is offensively minded. He is attack minded. You look at, how inventive, how, entertaining, how positive the Detroit offense were under Ben Johnson, and you cannot help but be enthused, be optimistic. Yes, he is not the offensive coordinator, but he still will have a substantial role in the calling of the offensive side of the game. So let's get that straight. Massively, massively positive. Now, he also has a very much a winner's mentality. And it's something he said post-draft. And we'll look at why, this is happening, what positions, etc., etc. we have and we've developed shortly. But this is something that Ben Johnson said in his post-draft presser. And I think this is very interesting. It's a long quote, but it's a very interesting one. He said, listen, we talked about the moment the players got back in the building, call it 3 weeks ago now. It was going to be a competitive environment. There is no depth chart right now. If you want to play, you've got to earn it. You want to roll, you've got to earn it. They know that. We were very straightforward and honest when they came into the building. I think we all did this weekend, and we might have just turned up the notch a couple of dials for certain people in the building. I wonder who he's talking about here. Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, for example. Vuyo Madunze, another example. So, that's the thing there. That's healthy. That's where you bring out the best, not only in your team, but in each individual. So what I'm going to be curious to see is what guys look like when the ball is not in their hands on offense. Okay, yeah, you're right. We have a lot of weapons. And how are you going to run your route when you might not be the number one in the progression? Okay, how are you going to block for your teammate when he has the ball? Because if you do those right things, then as a coaching staff, we're going to want to get you the ball a little more often. So it all ties together. It all goes hand in hand. And that's the beauty behind it. So basically, he is saying there is a competition for places. If you want that jersey, if you want to be, on the field, part of that base offense, part of that starting depth chart, you need to earn that place. Who you are, what you've done previously matters absolute jack all with Ben Johnson. You got to earn it. That is his key message there. But it's not just that. It's also saying that, look, it's about when you're on the field, even if you're not the main focus of that play, you still have to do your job and do your job well if you're going to show him that you are worthy of playing for this team. And that is a very much, a can-do. Standard is the standard. Move this forward. Positive mentality from head coach Ben Johnson. As well, I think, you've got to look at the offense. The offense was awful last season. Awful. But Ryan Poles has done a lot of work in terms of developing that offense. One, obviously, is the head coach, which we've mentioned. The second is if you look at the weapons and the offensive line, and the offense as a whole, there has been steps made to make that offense look a little bit more scary, a little bit more angry grizzly bear, rather than cute little cuddly toy bear. I think, you obviously look at Caleb Williams. This is a massive year for Caleb. It's time for Caleb to prove that he is the man. He was selected first overall. He was selected in the same draft as Jaden Daniels. He now has more weapons than Jaden Daniels. He has a better line than Jaden Daniels. He has a better head coach than Jaden Daniels. He has everything in place to go on and be successful. Jaden Daniels made the NFC Championship game last year in his rookie season. Pressure on Caleb Williams to do the job. Caleb Williams is an outstanding quarterback. We saw that in college. Yes, he had some bad times last season, but I think, now he has everything in place to go and show that he can get it done. And then if he can't this year, maybe it's time that we do look elsewhere. I mean, you've got a rebuilt O-line with a quality experience there. You've got Joe Tooney, you've got Jonah Jackson, you've got Dolman, who is one of the best centers in the NFL. You've got Darnell Wright. And I think, no matter what you think of Ozzie Trapilo or Luke Newman coming in, I think, the Bears staff and the head coach and Dan Rauscher is going to give Braxton Jones every opportunity to prove himself as the left tackle. And as well, I think Kieran Amagaji will also get every opportunity to prove himself as well. I don't think it's a given that Ozzie Trapilo comes straight in and starts. I don't think Trapilo is starter ready at all. The wide receiver room as well is now much more lined with quality, and I think, as I said on the video this morning, I basically, I said that Luther Burden is my favorite pick. It's a brilliant pick. It's a fantastic pick. It's a great pick. In terms of a quality wide receiver, and to get him where we did, I think when a lot of people were talking about, Luther Burden being drafted in the first round. Yeah, this is a guy we picked up in the second round. A guy that we realistically should not have had any chance of picking up in the second round, but he's quality, absolute quality. So you've got there as well. Now, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden. all quality players. Alamide Zacchaeus as well, another quality wide receiver option, a fourth option. There's 4 options there. He's got people to chuck the ball to now. Real good options, real good route runners, good attacking options in the wide receiver position. 2 tight ends now as well, Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland. Again, Loveland is someone who can stretch the field, who can line up in the slot position, who can line up in the tight end position. He is a top talent, someone who is, a very good receiver, a very good catcher of the ball. Cole Kmet, I think, he's red zone guy. He comes in and obviously helps us in the red zone. Now, I do think that DeAndre Swift is kind of the weak option at the running back position. I do still worry about that running back position with DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, Kyle Monagai. Kyle Monagai is a 7th round pick. A lot, depends on him. But there's a lot of guys who've come in and, have gone on to be fantastic successes. Undrafted free agents who've gone on to be running backs, who've gone on to be brilliant. Late round pick running backs who've gone on to be brilliant. So there's every opportunity there. And I watched a bit of footage of Kyle Monagai. He's not the fastest, but he is bloody hard to put down. He is like a little charging elephant when he puts his mind to it. There is a bit of depth there as well. Like I said, DeAndre Swift is the one that worries me. But I think, Ben Johnson has kind of delivered a vote of confidence in him by not taking a running back when perhaps he could have. Personally, I would have liked to have seen us take a running back in that 4th round rather than the linebacker pick, which I think is a massive reach. But hey, look, what do I know? That's just my thoughts. I'm not, as I was called earlier on X, a retard by a so-called Chicago Bears fan. But it's not just the offense. I think the defense as well, has some serious talent on it. And I think, we've got a defensive coordinator who is going to push them hard and make them aggressive, make them quick, make them speedy, make them get in people's faces, make them very angry men on a Sunday. And obviously, could be on a Thursday night, maybe on a Saturday, on the odd occasion. But, we've got Montez Sweat there, who is a very good edge rusher. Gervon Dexter, Grady Jarrett. Bringing in Grady Jarrett, it was a fantastic move. Another good interior pass rusher. A guy who, we look at, how the Eagles did it with their interior pass rush. Grady Jarrett will do that for the Bears. And will also, I think, be a very good mentor for Shamar Turner, the draft pick out of Texas A&M. Dio Odo Yingbo, I think, is another very good asset as well. I think is a guy with the right coaching, with the right scheme, can get back to his top sack numbers. Linebackers, there's quality there. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds. Again, Tremaine Edmonds is going to go into a contract year. He needs to step it up. He needs to prove himself. I'm sure something DA will certainly try and do with him. The secondary is looking good. Yes, we drafted, obviously, Zar Frazier, who I think in time will be a good player. But at this moment in time, we have Kyler Gordon. We have Tyreek Stevens, who can be a bit of a knucklehead, but still a decent player. We have, obviously, Jalen Johnson as well. The safeties, Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker. If Jaquan Brisker can stay fit this season, he is an awesome option at safety. So look, there's a lot of talent in that roster. There is a lot of quality in that roster. Now, look, I think talk of us winning a Super Bowl is ridiculous at this moment in time. We haven't even played a game yet. We haven't even started the season yet. And let's talk of anyone winning a Super Bowl. Yes, you're still going to talk Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, you're going to talk Buffalo Bills because they went close last year. Obviously got to the AFC Championship game last season. Yes, you're possibly going to talk Philadelphia Eagles because, again, they are still a very good team. But look, talking about the Bears winning a Super Bowl is, I think, exceptionally premature. But this team looks an awful lot better. There are reasons for optimism. And as I've said a number of times, though, yes, words speak well, but it's actions that matter. And once the season gets started, then we'll see what the Bears have got. But look, I'm a lot more positive, a lot more optimistic going into OTAs, into training camp and into the new season, that this is a roster that can and will compete. You look at the fact that as well, in terms of the schedule, it is not a massively tricky schedule. It is not the worst schedule. The Lions have a much tougher schedule than us. They have a first place schedule. We have a last place schedule. So at the end of the day, I think, there realistically is, a great opportunity to really go on and be successful. If you look at our 2025 opponents, in the obviously away from obviously the Lions and so on and so forth, there is a lot of teams there that you can see us actually beating, see us actually going on and being successful against. look, home games, once you get out of the way, obviously the Green Bay game, the Vikings game, and the Lions game, you've got the Cowboys. To me, no great shakes. The Giants, no great shakes. The Saints, no great shakes. The Cleveland Browns suck dick. They're awful. They are one of the biggest jokes in NFL. There's Pittsburgh Steelers who haven't even got a quarterback, and it could be Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Jesus, Aaron Rodgers. The guy's just past it. Road games, Eagles, yeah, that is going to be tough. That is going to be a game that we'll test. Washington, what an opportunity for Caleb to show Jaden Daniels that actually he's the man. The 49ers, weaker this season. They've lost a lot of talent in the off-season. Ravens will be tough. Bengals, don't rate them. Raiders, who knows? But that is certainly, I think, a schedule where you can see us coming out with a winning schedule. But I think, a lot does depend on how that schedule bunches up, how that schedule is organised, how we play teams, etc., etc. But we have a roster, we have a head coach now who can, I think, take this franchise forward. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Please let me know. Please drop me a line. And obviously remember to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. As always, on the way out, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And bear down. See you later, Chicago.